I guess in a few sentences, what did this project mean to me? I think that this project meant showing people that a school for children with disabilities is not all we are. We're creating a future for these students. We're thinking ahead and we're preparing them for what's next, for high school, for beyond, for day-to-day life. It's not about just doing an art project and helping someone do an art project and everybody saying, wow, that was fun. It's about being a catalyst for independence, for them to go off and do it on their own. And for that moment when they walk into that art gallery and they said, Mom or Dad, this is my art and I worked really hard on it and you're going to be really impressed. This is a great way for our students to express themselves. It's a great way to show people what we do at PG Chambers. It's a great opportunity for artists to show what they're capable of. What keeps coming back to me is that when we all work together, we can get something that's great. There is no one person that would ever be able to put this together because everyone pitched in and everybody gave it their all. We got the results that we have now.
In 1954, the school was actually founded with community roots and by families who had children with special needs, and they needed educational programs and therapy services and a community. That's how we began, and we are certainly one of the most unique schools.
For a parent, it's just a wonderful experience. The people here really care about the children, and not just on the surface. It's a very deep and committed caring that they have. You feel welcome every single time you walk in to the building. And on top of that, their educational programming here is wonderful.
Our mission is to provide those services that are needed in the community to develop that love of learning with students.
Having a child with special needs, we make decisions based on our gut, and it just felt right from here, right from the beginning. And it's just been getting better. I've seen the changes in the school. I've seen it evolve and get better and bigger, and implementing more programs.
For me, PG Chambers is partly wonderful because the staff clearly likes being here. They look well supported. It's a cheerful place. It's kept up. They keep adding things. They have real art, not the artist. The art teacher does the work for my child. I can see my child's work in the art. They have real music instruments as opposed to the toys that some other places have.
We have a reputation for quality, for seeking a very high standard, and giving very compassionate care. The people that work here are very intrinsically motivated. The work is very difficult. Good enough is not good enough for our staff. And so they're continually challenging themselves so that they provide services and interventions that are just at the highest level, and they collaborate with each other, keeping the student and the family at the center.
When you think about working here as being part of a family, that's absolutely true. And the thing you get from this school that you don't get everywhere else is that we will give 110%.
It's so much fun to come to work because the kids are so involved in everything. They're all friends, they love to be together, and they just love to learn. It's really a wonderful experience. It sounds silly or cliche, but you walk in the door and you feel the warmth of the school, which is why I came and I never left.
When I first came to the school, I was a person who had worked in special ed for a very, very long time and had a very strong commitment to what's called inclusion, which is having children with disabilities in what you would call the mainstream. And I had a lot of trepidation about coming to a place that was more of a segregated organization. Within almost minutes, I got this completely different sense of what this organization was about. And what I saw was this tremendous self-confidence. They felt comfortable where they were, and that was not something I was seeing in so-called mainstream settings. I think the most important thing about the school is this development of self-confidence and self-assuredness.
The people truly love and care about our children and do a wonderful job of working with the families as a team. You really feel like when you leave your child here that they're in the right place.
You walk in the door, the people know you by name. They know who the parents are. They know who your child is. They know stuff about you. They reach out to so many different people, so many different groups. They try and include the children in so many different things to make them feel as normal as possible with the struggles that they deal with in every part of their lives. I think it's an absolutely exceptional school.
We've had musicians come in and artists come in, but in this way, this program was very different. It was a true collaboration and an interaction with the students and the artists, and it was very open-ended. I think in the past we've had artists in residence, but it was more they were teaching. There wasn't that interaction. With this project, the end seemed like it was the beginning.
My name is Rebecca Jampol, and I am the director of Solo's Project House, which is the gallery involved with PG Chambers in this program. In addition to being the administrative end with Solo's Project House, I also inserted myself into the program as an artist. I guess I can say that I'm part of the visionary team. I was approached by Ryan Ahern, who works with PG Chambers. He's an occupational therapist there, years ago, about possibly integrating special needs programming with the programming that I was doing here already.
For 2 years we were trying to get a meeting together and trying to figure out how we can really connect her gallery to the school. She had wanted to do a project with students with disabilities. We are always trying to be innovative, and we really just wanted to give the students something that was unique, age appropriate, really a good outlet for self-expression.
So with the help of Ryan, we actually created the program together, and that's how this began.
Oh, look at that.
Nice butterfly.
What do you think?
David, what do you think?
How do you think it's coming along? I know, he made that, all the colors right in order.
Making texture?
He did, he put them all in order, right?
Well, it on the table.
Very cool, very cool.
Then when we're done, I'm gonna take the tape off. Put a nice layer of resin, just like a plastic glass
This
material.
tape?
Uh-huh.
Gonna make everything pop.
Wow,
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Is this yellow?
Yep.
look where
Is
it is.
this tape?
He's gonna take this tape
I'm gonna remove
off,
the tape.
okay? So it won't
Who
be on
can
this.
help?
My name is David Okendo. I'm an artist, and I've been working predominantly in mural painting and large-scale canvas or on wood for approximately 3 years now. How I got involved with PG Chambers was I met Rebecca Jampol while attending Rutgers. Once the opportunity came, she's like, hey, do you have time? Like, we have this opportunity to work with special needs kids, and she knew that, to some extent, that she knew I was familiar with some special needs kids because my mom works with special needs kids. And I was pretty excited, actually. I never worked hands-on with special needs students, especially with art. So it was excitement, it was a bit nervousness, because, you know, you don't want to get it wrong. You know, because I want to give like a positive experience for these kids. I work with Summer and I work with Justin. I kind of encourage my art process with them. My work has a lot to do with particular ideas, usually it's like religious, sometimes it's autobiographical, and so what I do, I create characters based on particular ideas, And I simply try to transfer that with the kids. So the first few sessions was just them drawing and seeing what they're inclined to drawing. And Summer, she loved drawing faces, and she liked drawing Pats, to be specific. She kept drawing portraits of Pat. And Justin just loved numbers and letters. So Sibby just encouraged their kind of natural instinct. I didn't want to impose anything. And so I've encouraged them to sort of make their small idea or small portrait or interest into something larger than life. They actually surpassed my expectations. I thought it would take them the whole time to fill up this canvas. They actually finished within like 3 weeks. So I had them do their own independent painting. It was a learning process for me and them. Like, they didn't want to just have like one project and impose that like a dictator. I kind of wanted to have, I had an idea, but it was open to like manipulate. And like, yeah, they really, really enjoyed it. The only difference between Justin and Summer was Justin was sort of open to like leaving white space in between his letters and numbers and rainbows. Summer was a bit different. Like, she just she sort of spread the paint everywhere. You know, her hands were like blue or something. So what I did after learning this after a while, I taped up sections of the canvas. So even though she was sort of spreading all this paint around, once I removed the tape, the bottom layers were showing through. I don't think anyone likes something forced upon them when it's supposed to be fun. So I guess that was like my hurdle for me, was to sort of give them some, you know, like 50-50. Like, it wasn't just me telling them to do something, it was give and take. It's a collaboration.
We've had art shows, and I've been part of the art shows in the past, and I always thought, based on Marcy, our art teacher's interest, it would be really nice to pair them and break down into smaller groups and work in a different style to integrate ourselves with a community of people that come from a different world than our own here, and just see what happened.
That was literally 2 years before the project actually started, because Rebecca came with Ryan Ahern, one of our occupational therapists, with an idea. They said, we have this idea to do an art mentorship program. And it really was just that. That's all it was, is an idea.
I have a vision that I'm really excited about from the get-go, and I understand how things are going to pan out. And the program was developed in a way that I chose the artists that I knew were going to have a great impact on these students, and developed work that was far above what, you know, is something that they might produce in a regular art class. And that was really the mission of this program, was for the artists to take, these professional artists to take what they do on a regular basis and allow students to be a part of it, to help them create this.
Because of the way the school is structured, school districts pay tuition to our school to have children enrolled in PG Chambers School. And that tuition pays for the basic program that's been developed for that child, an educational program that then also involves therapies. So special things like an art mentorship program is not within our school budget. So my role was to find funding, and actually it was very simple, because I went to one of our key donors, Susan Gordon. She does have a very strong interest in the arts to begin with. And when I explained the project to her and thought she might do some partial funding, she was very pleased to actually fund the entire project. So the funding went from no funding to being completely funded, and actually having enough funding to produce this documentary in addition. So it's really been a very, been an easy project to fund because of the products and because of what went out of it and the interest that Susan had.
Are you interested in this ball made of sticks? Yeah. It's making a really cool design in Kevin's piece.
You gonna stick to the yellow?
Yeah, it's like little twigs that are all wrapped up together.
can lay down.
Yeah? Where should we put it?
We need different colors.
You got it.
Start in the corner
Name it.
here?
What color you want?
Oh,
Looking
yeah.
at the track.
Roll it around. Neat.
I can't wait to see what these look like.
Ooh, dark blue. So let me show you something with these ones,
Oh,
Derek.
great.
There's two ends to it.
You want to roll it up?
My name's Hannah Kraft. I make sculpture. I'm finishing up my MFA right now at Mason Gross. So in my sculpture, I use found objects a lot. So I thought it might be really fun to let the kids just handle a lot of cool things, really tactile materials, and let them press those things into clay and make impressions. So every week we would start with a slab of clay and a bunch of random stuff, from little toys to big bolts, glass bottles, stamps, hair, sticks, and just let them see what happened. And it was a really interesting process because I got to see the two totally different techniques. They're so funny. I mean, every time we worked together, we were just cracking up the whole time. Henry has a more gentle, considerate style. He really likes to think about things, and a lot of times it seemed like he just wanted to hold on to the objects and have a conversation, so we'd get into really cool discussions about life and weather and animals and stuff. And Kevin is totally different. Kevin turned everything I gave him into a tool for stabbing the clay. And it made a really great, I don't know, a totally different style than Henry's, because he's much more expressive and he just wanted to like work with it. So it was really fun to see their two different styles, and from them I learned a lot about freedom of expression, and to kind of, I don't know, it seemed so, I don't know, free and like joyous, because they didn't have all of the like parameters that I put on myself when I go to make art. They just went into it psyched to do it. Just, you know, what can I do with this object and what can I do with a mushy block of clay? And it was really incredible to watch them just turn the brain off and turn the body on and just respond to the things that they were touching. So yeah, I learned a lot from them. I guess it was a really simple lesson about saying yes to things that in the back of your head there's something going, why are you doing this? Like, you don't have time for this. You don't have to like challenge yourself. You don't have to do this right now. Yeah, I feel like that butterflies in your stomach thing is a good sign. It means you're doing something good. You're about to go through something. And that's what we did. In the 8 months that we were working together, it was like building a relationship. We got really, really close. We bonded instantly because it was really kind of utopian. Like, we'd go to the school and we had access to all of these materials, and we knew that for that hour it was just gonna be playtime. You know, we were no matter what was going on in the day, if I was running late that morning or had a million things to do, it was gonna be a really good hour. And I was going to be energized afterwards. I mean, literally every time I walked out, I was just ready to go. I wanted to get into the studio and I wanted to get on with my day and just share the energy that Kevin and Henry gave to me.
Where do you want to draw?
My face.
Your what?
My face.
Oh, your cheeks. Got him. Sorry. All right, we'll do your cheeks. Good idea. Way up. Stretch that arm up. Good, Sarah.
My name is Carl. I am the father of Sarah. Sarah's been attending the PG Chambers School for approximately 6 or 7 years, since first grade. What I think I've seen from Sarah this year is her ability to openly express herself better to us. And not that I want a snack or anything like that, or I don't want to do the math homework tonight, but more what she's really feeling. And I think the interaction with the artists, and I think the interaction, what she's been doing this year, opened her up to let her express herself better to us. I can't, like I said before, I can't put it into words how good that makes you feel as a parent. And when I look at these things, I see that this was an absolutely phenomenal program. It brought out the best in so many different people. To Sarah has a new best friend, Nicole. She can't wait to see her again, so she can talk to her. Because that's what Sarah loves to do.
My name is Nicole Helen Brunner. I am a painter working in oil and acrylic. My process is very free, I guess. I move around a lot. You know, I'm taking images and then drawing them and then taking them again and painting, and I'm up and down. Like, the work I do is very large and very fast. Like, I try to get it out and then leave it for a second and then go back to it really quick, as opposed to this where it was every other Friday for a couple months. So we really had a chance to think about it and go back to it and then come back and then do it again and then figure it out even more, because we started on paper and then went to canvas. The two students I worked with were Sarah and Danielle, and the creativity process of it first seemed really daunting and challenging, because I guess all of us had no idea who we were working with at first and what kind of challenges they faced on a day-to-day basis and how that would work out when we were there. But they were great. The girls were wonderful, smart and witty and funny, and it was like just talking to a regular kid, you know, with a ton of other people around that just wanted to help. And it seemed more like everyone wanted to learn art instead of just, you know, helping the kids. They were learning themselves. They were really getting into it, and the girls were incredible. The project we worked on was acrylic on canvas, and it was kind of like a collage aspect. So we, my work, what I showed them was work on paper. It was acrylic on paper and charcoal. So I would draw the figure over and over again, different layers on paper, and then go in and take away like positive and negative space and just blend them together so you couldn't really tell where the bodies started or ended or whatnot. So when I presented it to the girls, that was kind of what we were looking to do, where we were taking images of them, and then I would draw them and they would paint them, and then I would cut them out, and then they would help to put it all together on a canvas. And then we painted the back of the canvas and then collaged it all together and glued it on, so that they were just abstract forms. They weren't really, you'd have no idea who they came from, if the person could walk or couldn't walk or had like any kind of issues. And that was kind of what our project was. It was just to blend the boundaries of being, you know, deemed normal or having a disability. They just opened up and, you know, welcomed in all these artists and just learned from them and did these projects. And it was just, I guess it is just being vulnerable, like allowing people to see something in you that maybe other people can't. Like, I don't know. I guess it's so much, but it's hard to pinpoint everything. When I broke down my process, I wasn't really sure how to teach them. You know, I had to reteach myself how to do these things. It was just so like when you're driving, you just go and you get to where you're supposed to be, but you have no idea. Like, your brain just functions in a different way. So I'm relearning things that I learned in art school, like remembering different colors and how to mix them and how to, you know, talk about them. And just to have fun and relax. Like, the best part was when we could just fool around and be silly and, you know, talk about day-to-day things. That was the best part.
Perfect.
Can I show you something? The cool thing about signing a piece of artwork is it doesn't really even have to say your name. Like I make my signature like this, and that doesn't even look like my name. So you can sign it any way you want. You just make it your own style. You ready? It's good? You ready, bud?
I would take the cap off and actually just put it in his hand like this, because he'll be able to hold it like that. Okay, you have to have a nice quiet body.
Just bring it.
Yeah.
Close.
Ready, Raph?
Ready, Raph? Now make your famous artist signature. What do you think, Raph? More or oh, I'm sorry. More or are we done?
Well, my name is Daniel. I work mostly with writing and poetry. I do these big and small scale paintings of the poems that I write. I guess I've been working with writing pretty much my whole life. I mean, I started as a child, and then I think I lost it for a little while, and then it came back maybe when I was about 20, so about 10 years I've been doing this now. I worked with Rafi and Olivia. My idea for the project was that I was going to try to help the Rafi and Olivia, the students, to express themselves through some sort of little piece of poetry, and then we would make a painting with that. When I initially started, I ran into some challenges that I had to make adaptations for. You know, with Rafi, I learned early on, like, he can't speak, first of all, so he has a machine and a device that he uses to scroll through and use that to speak for himself, but it's kind of slow, and he doesn't have all the options with it of expressing himself the way that he really wants to through it. It's more practical and less poetry, but I found that what he really likes to do is to paint. Now, when he had a paintbrush in his hand, there was no, you couldn't be confused about it. He was happy to be doing that. So I kind of decided, you know, what we're going to do with me and Rafi is we're going to paint, because that's what he wants to do. And I got a lot of the poetry from Olivia. I would give her a notebook and pens and show her some images and kind of, you know, spend at least 10 minutes in every session getting her to get words down on the page in this notebook. And then what we did was we pulled a lot of that poetry out, and then we would make 2 paintings with that, so that Rafi was also painting it. And it was kind of a big collaborative thing, you know, where maybe the poetry wasn't going to come from him, the painting would, and, you know, so it was that. It was more of like a team kind of thing is what it became. To counter, you know, the difficulties, I basically just had to get myself and my own expectations out of the way. Like, oh, I think that it has to be some grand piece of poetry. Well, maybe the best thing that was said in that class was shredded cheese, you know, and maybe that is like the more profound thing than trying to get it so it sounds like some cool piece of poetry, you know. Like, I had to get my own expectations out of the way, and I had to learn how each one of them communicates. With Rafi, I had to learn about his eye movements, and I had to learn, like, that it had got to the point with Rafi that I knew when he wanted to change the colors, I knew when he wanted to paint in a different place on the canvas, I knew when he thought it was done, I knew when he wanted to have a different brush. Like, we were speaking, like, we understood one another. He's very, very alive, and he has full thoughts and full experience that he knows the decisions that he wants to make. So once I learned how to communicate with him, a lot of those difficulties, you know, got out of the way. With Olivia, it was more just getting comfortable with one another. So that I just had to put the time in, you know, and show her that, hey, this is a cool thing that we can do together, and, you know, it's a safe environment and that kind of thing. What I learned from those students was about, like, the freedom of color and brushstroke. Like, I mean, I've never taught technique anytime I've ever worked with students, because I don't know how to draw. I'm not going to sit down and teach you how to draw a figure. I don't even know how to do that. It's way more of like a raw expression of feeling. So that's how I've always approached it. And a lot of that comes down to like, you know, just put the brush on that canvas and the colors that you want, and put those brush strokes as free as you can. And now when I look at those paintings, like they really, the way that the colors are on there and how free they are, like with there's no like, I think with my own art, it's all like, you get to a place where you think so much about all of it that you lose a little bit of the like, just natural freedom of this is fun. And I think they help bring some of that back for me. And maybe they're gonna teach me to paint in color.